Hi everybody, welcome back to another episode of the TreeTopChat. This is actually episode number 20 and we have been going for 5 months straight now without a single Friday off. We would like to call this the end of season 1 of the TreeTopChat, but it's certainly not the last TreeTopChat you will hear or see from us in the future. As a last episode, to wrap up the season, we will speak to a very special guest today, a very well-known guest as well. She has been a Teufelberger ambassador, represented Arboristbutiken and Teufelberger in Australia, as well as a steel ambassador. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Speak to her.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Hello, there. Good.
I've had trouble with my phone. The audio is broken.
Okay.
But
so, how's everything?
Everything is good. It's really hot in here. I've been firing up my wooden stove recently, and it's really. If I get a bit red, that's why.
Okay. So yeah, no need to blush here.
No.
So let's get into it. There's Stanley.
Stanley is over here by the fire, next to the cat. They're sleeping.
Nice.
Yeah. And this is Philip.
That's is that your new dog or?
It's a cat.
It's a cat. You just oh my God. I should know. I have 2 cats myself, but you know, obviously I need glasses for some reason.
Yeah, the screen is very small.
Yeah, it is. Nice. So let's get into it, Victoria.
Do it.
Standard question, which has become one of the most kind of interesting ones since everybody's, answer is so different. So tell us about your journey, how you become an arborist and what has happened.
Right. So for me, it kind of fell in my lap. It was really, I've never heard of it. I've never thought about it. And I have never thought I was going to be ending up doing what I'm doing. But I was, like other people, I've been really like confused on what I wanted to do with my life pretty much. And then I've been doing different courses, mostly with animals, but always surrounding nature. And then at one point I found an education at the Danish forestry school, but it was like a book, a proper university exam about culture and nature communication. And I wrote an application and I was waiting to get in, but then I realized it was already in the winter and I had to, I wouldn't get an answer if I were to get into the school before fall. So while I was waiting, I lived right next to the chainsaw course school. And I was like, I'll do the chainsaw course while I wait, because then, I'm staying busy and I'm learning a new skill and blah, blah, blah. And while attending the chainsaw course, everyone was talking about becoming arborists and climbing and doing all that. And I never paid attention, it wasn't anything that I was going to do. I was waiting. Well, I was really into the chainsaw anyway. It really got me hooked. And then on the very last day, I got an offer from Sweden. That's why I ended up in Sweden, because someone with a company in Sweden offered me an internship or an apprenticeship as an arborist. And I was like, what's that? And I can remember going there the first time and I looked at the throw bags and I was like, what are these things? I had like no idea. I'd never even watched the YouTube video. And then I stayed for 2 weeks and I couldn't get my ass off the ground and it was like really tough. But after those 2 weeks, I decided on moving here and it's been 4 years.
That's good. So everything else kind of before that happened in Copenhagen or in Denmark, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you also,
I've always been. I have this romantic picture of Sweden that's like the most idyllic thing ever, and that's also why I've always loved it, and it was like easy for me to move here.
That's kind of weird because that's the picture I have of Denmark.
Yeah, it's too small and too flat, and not enough rocks.
And I spent a lot of time in Denmark, and I think, it's a very nice country. I even worked for a Danish company for a couple of years.
Yeah, it is nice, but it's not as nice.
Let's not argue about that. But you know, coming into the second question here, you
Yeah.
kind of started a hashtag, you know, with which is less whining, more climbing. Can you tell us more about what that means and to you and what it symbolizes?
Yeah, for sure. I've actually used that hashtag since like my very first tree related Instagram posts, like way back in 2016. I used to do more like long hashtags with like funny things in them, but the less whining, more climbing came to me from the very beginning because for me, I think especially as a beginner, it was easy for me to fall into. We don't have to call it whining, but I'd be like, or like. I guess it was mostly fear based of like not being able to like be, I don't know, if there was any tree job and I felt unsure about it, I'd be like making excuses or like find myself like whining about the weather or like coming up with excuses for not pushing myself through that and learning in the situation.
Okay.
And I think that's where less whining, more climbing. So it's a little reminder to myself every day. And I think it's really funny that it's to see how far I've come. And if you click the hashtag, you'll see pictures from when I just started out. And I have like little chubby cheeks, and I'm like 20 kilos heavier, and I'm such a beginner and I knew nothing. And it's funny to still use that in a little reminder to just go for it. And
cool.
Yeah.
Has anybody else started to use that hashtag or?
I think earlier I told people to do it, but I'm not sure if anyone has picked up on it. But you're welcome to use it as a little, let's hype each other up.
Yeah, sure, we will. We will.
Thing. It's not meant as in you're not supposed to be. I mean, it's funny and it rhymes.
Yeah, we'll use that at some point for sure. So you showed us the cat and which I thought was a dog, but you also have Stanley. So you seem to be a bit of a dog person, judging by your social media. And so what is the favorite thing about dogs, and what makes them such a great companion?
Well, don't get me started.
Hi, Stanley. You don't recognize me. We met each other in February.
For me, dogs have been, when I was a kid, I'd buy dog food, I'd buy cat food, I'd buy pet food in general and keep it on a shelf. And I was never allowed to have a dog before we moved in a house when I was like 13. And then we got the biggest dog possible, a Saint Bernard. And since then, it's just, I find, waking up in the morning, it's better with a dog. Going to bed is better with a dog. Going for a walk is better with a dog. Like watching them being so present and like right here, right now. They're not worrying about tomorrow or yesterday or what happens in 2 weeks. They're just like happy now.
Yeah.
And they're very easy to, if I tell Stanley, like, now we're partying, like, ooh, you're having a good time. She gets really excited. And then loving what they do and loving people with such unconditional love without even, they don't care if people are homeless and they don't care if people are smelly or like, they have no judgment. They're just right there right now. And I think I can learn and we can learn a lot from that.
Nice. Actually, the Arboristbutikens dog is only 2 weeks old at this point, so we can only see him on video.
You're getting a puppy?
Yeah.
Which one?
It's a pincher.
Okay. A big one or a medium one?
No, it's not a Doberman pincher. It's a pincher. It's like 50 centimeters up to the, what do you call it?
But they're black and tan, right?
They're black and brown. Yeah.
Cool.
So we're gonna have him here chewing at the ropes and everything else. So
Stanley still loves her rope killer that we got last time.
Yeah. I'll get him a 14 mil next time.
Nice.
So you also have a relationship with Steel. How did that turn out? And tell us a little bit of what happened.
I think I was lucky, at least, to be. I think when I started doing Instagram, I was one of the first people really sharing as much as I did. And especially sharing as a woman. I don't think anyone had ever seen, like when I started out, there was nothing. There was no one. There was Anna Elisabeth in Stockholm, and she really inspired me. You know, I saw her pictures, and I was like, wow. And then she shared my picture, and then it just took off from there. And with steel, I was actually working. You know, I had done some work with different companies testing out products, but I had never, you know, done a real ambassadorship, really. And I was working for a guy in Gothenburg who had a contact. You know, the company had a contact with Steel, you know, trying out equipment and stuff. And then Steel Sweden asked him if he had any women in his crew because they needed a woman for their campaign video. And he had me. And he asked me just one day in the car, like, Greg, like, would you like to do this commercial or like campaign video? And I was like, yeah. And then I did that, and I guess they liked what I did. So after we did the campaign, they asked me, you know, to become an ambassador.
Nice.
And that's how that happened. And it's been really, really cool to work closely to their products and test out new stuff. And I feel so grateful and privileged. And, you know, yeah.
So what is the feeling when you see yourself on the back of buses and in magazines and you know, Steel ads and all that stuff?
It was funny because I had no idea. People kept sending me pictures of the bus, and my mom sent me clips from the TV, you know, and I'm like, and people say they see me on their YouTube commercial video. I pop up like in the video, and I didn't even know that I was there. But it's fun, you know, even having a big following on Instagram and, you know, people recognizing me on buses. I'm still just me, so I don't think about it in the way. It's oftentimes when people come to me and they say, this is a really big deal, you know, I'm like, when I stop and think about it for a minute, I think that's when I realize that it is kind of huge. And then I get fucking proud of myself. Like, I went from nowhere to here, you know?
That's nice.
And I didn't know what to do, and now I have this support, and I think that's what I really like about it. It's a motivational factor, and it is making me want to keep doing what I'm doing. Yeah.
But you know, so far no issues with paparazzis running around your house.
No, I've had some people show up on a job site once. It was really weird. We were working somewhere in Sweden, and some guy just walked up, and I didn't know I thought he was some guy in charge of the job. It was on the street, and I was like, you know, I was standing there with a rake, and my colleague was in a tiny little tree, you know, and he's like, oh, yes, I follow you on Instagram. And I was like, wait, what? And he had seen where I was, and then he came and said hi. So that was a bit weird.
That's cool. That's cool. So we have a question from the audience here, Victoria. Mm-hmm. So it goes like, do you think that social media has helped you with your job?
In my practical job, no. As in, I have never gotten a job off Instagram or like off social media. You know, I've gotten many offers around the world, and usually when someone writes, you can work for us anytime, you know, I'm like questioning why they won't offer me a job when they have no idea of my skills. You know, they can only see pictures. But I think I kind of have two separate jobs now. I have my Instagram job, and I have my tree job day to day, working my ass off, literally. But they also go together, because if I don't do my tree work, you know, I can't show you guys what I'm doing. So it's like they go together, but I don't think the social media has helped me in my physical work. It has helped me getting a lot of contacts and support and, you know, relationships with brands and stuff online. And I think that's really fun. But I think I'm also within a group of people doing this for the first time. You know, a lot of people have blogged and, you know, done brand ambassador stuff in fashion and in food and in all these other subjects, but no one has ever done it in trees. You know, it's like, yeah. And I've seen it grow as I started at 16, you know. A lot of people are on here now, and it's really cool, I think.
Yeah. Seems to be a lot more women now coming into the industry, huh?
Mm-hmm. I love seeing that.
Yeah. So we're going into the next one here, which is also an audience question. Do you best tip for a female looking to become an arborist? Right.
The best tip. I don't think there's any extra tips for women. I think it would be the same tips I would give to any guys. apart from like, don't let any stupid comments throw you off. But for anyone coming into the industry, I think it's really important to get yourself a network, find someone skilled who can help teach you. You can always reach out to a company and ask if you can like tag on and watch what they're doing, and then take a course at a school so you get the basics from a book. And that's what I thought. I was going to learn everything in school and then go and try it out at work. But I thought school was like, I went and I learned everything at the job site, you know. So it's like, I think a little bit of both, because they're going to give you the theoretical knowledge that you might not have time to go into depth with at work every day. But having a really good network, I think, is crucial. Yeah. And then don't let anybody tell you that you can't do it, you know, of course, with anything. If you're passionate about it, then...
Yeah, I think that's a kind of a universal tip, huh? So I think somebody's really curious here, because you posted a lot of pictures and stuff from the U.S. I think you were in Kentucky, right?
Yeah.
So somebody's asking, how come you've been working so much in the U.S.?
The funny thing is, I haven't been working over there at all. I did nothing for 3 months.
Well, you were building tree houses, right?
I wasn't building. I was watching people build tree houses. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I've never worked there like officially, but I met someone who lived there, and then I went to visit him. And as soon as like a couple of days before I was supposed to go home this spring, my country closed down. You know, I got text messages like, Denmark is closing down. There's nothing. And I was able to leave, but I thought I'd let it calm down, you know, before I travel out in the world. Where it was when Corona just like peaked.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was a bit, you know, and I kind of wanted to stay more and longer. So then I stayed for the whole lockdown, pretty much. Yeah. And Stanley was in good hands, you know. She was my best friend, and they were doing fine. So, and I learned a lot, you know. And they both have a tree crew who goes out and does tree work, and then they use the lumber to build tree houses, and it's really amazing what they're doing over there.
Yeah, and, from what you saw, you spent a lot of time in the woods, didn't you?
Yeah. And we wove these nets out of paracord up in the canopies, and you can lay around there, and they're building bridges and stairs, and it's amazing. Yeah.
Cool.
I was really inspired by that.
Nice. So, you know, give us your funniest job story. You know, what is the funniest thing that happened on the job?
I had to think about that for a while, because the funniest thing on a job site is, you know, for me, it has been the colleagues and who you're working with, and, you know, it's like the vibe every day is what makes it fun. But I think I have a couple of incidents. One was my first time at the last company where I was employed as before becoming self-employed. I don't know if this is so funny, but it was funny to me. It was my first day, and it was snow everywhere, and we were in a churchyard, and the boss like put me in a tree and told me to reduce it because it was like dying, you know. And I think it was kind of like a test for him to see, you know, he had never seen me work. And then I did, and I got this twig like up my nose, and I started bleeding so hard, and it was blood in the whole tree and in the snow and on my equipment, and it was dripping everywhere. And I'm like, can you pass me up some tissue? And he's like, I think you should just come down. And I was standing there. So that was a bit silly. But apart from that, we worked in the Central Park in Gothenburg, Slottsskogen. And it was right when, in 2016, when Pokemon Go was huge. And people were everywhere, you know, on their phones. And we had to close off huge areas to do dead wooding. And it's really, you know, people in the tape and the close off for tree work is like impossible. People always walk everywhere anyway. But Pokemon Go, we were right between 3 Pokestops, and we had like 20 trees to do. And we had 50 people stand like behind the tape waiting for us to move it so they could get to their Pokemon. And then what we did in that part too was to use the throw line to draw down deadwood. And while we were doing that, you know, we're standing there pulling, and people never have an idea what you're doing when you're throw lining, because they've never seen the equipment before, and it looks like, you know, you can't climb on it, you can't cut anything with it. Like, what are you doing? And we're tugging these branches up in the, it's like, oh, it was in the summer, so you couldn't see anything up there. And people were like, what are you doing? And the kids walk past and the families, and we're like, there's a Pikachu up there. We're catching the Pikachu. And all the Pokemon Go hunters, they were so confused. And we had a really good laugh about that.
That's funny. So you've been doing this for a while now. So what is the best part of, being an arborist?
I think it's the free fitness and not having to go home and do workout, even though I do enjoy that sometimes too. And being outside and having, like, you never know what's going to happen. Not as in, shit could go wrong, but as in, I don't know what job I'm showing up to. As a contractor now, they tell me where to be in the morning, or they pick me up, or I pick them up, and then we go somewhere, and I don't know. So it could be anything, and the days are so different. Like, we could be at a old person's house having coffee and biscuits and chopping down a little tree. We can be, today we were in a big churchyard for Lensstyrelsen, taking down a huge, like, deceased oak tree with a sky lift. We're doing so many different things, and I love not having that same thing going on every day, because I would
a lot of variation in the work, huh?
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. You also had the opportunity to climb in Kapunda in southern Australia. So tell us a little bit about that experience. What was it like? Are you looking to compete again in competitions like that?
Australia was hands down one of the best experiences of my life, and I'm like so grateful, because I was so scared getting into and being the Turf Burger ambassador. I remember like getting into it. We were talking about the Australia thing, and I was pissing my pants. Like, I was so scared because I've just, I've seen YouTube videos, and it was like the ultimate climbing competition experience. Yeah. And it looked like nothing I would ever be able to do. And it was just such a great experience getting there, and the people, the vibe there. For me, the climb is so scary that it's borderline enjoyable. I didn't swing around in a tree going like, this is the funniest thing I've ever done, but I was so scared even getting up, and I remember hyping myself. I was listening to music, and I got this tree where it was basically no climbing. It was like 3 swings, but they were like bigger than anything I had ever done. And even the days up to, we were training, and I was just so nervous. But then when I finally started in that tree, I went and I got every single bell, and I was like so happy, and everybody like crying on the ground. And I came back down, and I don't think anyone thought that I was able to finish that tree, but I did. And it was like the biggest boost for me. And having all the people, and I've never experienced I don't know if everybody I talked to there or everyone who I'm talking about now was Australian, but the whole vibe was just unlike. I've been at a lot of tree climbing competitions, and I love the vibe there, but this was just something extra. Like, and I don't know if it's because some people recognize me, and it was easy for me to get into like talking to people, but we had such a good time, and I'm definitely going back. Yes, I would put myself through it again and again.
Right. So you made a lot of contact there as well, didn't you?
Yeah, and a lot of people who've also been in Sweden. Yeah,
I think there must have been like 10 Swedes down there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. I think we have a question coming up here. My cameraman is currently writing on our little whiteboard here, so we will hear that in a second.
Cool.
So,
are we talking in the meantime?
So this is the question, Viktoria. Being a freelancer, do you decide your own work times? This is from Robbie.
Hey, Robbie.
1985.
If I decide my own days.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is, I was so lucky. I went from living in Gothenburg to moving out here, like in the middle of nowhere, knowing no one. And I moved into this house, and I was like, everything is going to fall into place. And then I had my landlord give me a contact to a job, and that guy happened to have contacts, and they are all friends. So the guy who now owns my house used to have an arborist company, and he knows people who are now hiring me. And they can text me, like, are you available this and this and this day? And then I say yes or no. And then the other guy asked me, are you booked this whole week, or can you work with me this day? But then because they're all friends, that we talk together. Like today we were supposed to do trimming, grass trimming, and like small tree trimming, and with the sorry, sword. And then the other guy had an urgent oak takedown for Länsstyrelsen. And then we just talked to the other guy and we say, we have to go take down this oak, so we can't do your grass trimming today. We'll do it next week, you know, and we're all talking together. But for me, it's really nice to be able to, I'm making a lot more money like this too. Like, I don't know how, well, I'm not saying, of course, I was employed with a company because it's the right thing to do when you're a beginner because you want to learn and you want to know what's up and down.
Right.
But starting my own business and doing it like this is just such a freedom and such a, yeah, I could work 3 days a week instead of 40 hours. And
that's nice.
If I have to go visit my family in Denmark or if I have to go traveling, you know, I can work a lot for a short time and then I can take more time off, and it's very flexible. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. I wish my work was as flexible as that is.
And I'm enjoying it right now. I'm telling myself, you're in your 20s, you should enjoy whatever you do.
Absolutely. So we're coming down to one of the standard questions. You know, what is your favorite piece of gear of all times and why?
I tried thinking about this today because I knew you were going to ask, and I just can't name one because for me, I think the whole equipment setup all together is what makes it good, and having things that work together. Obviously, I love my zigzag because that's what I use every day at work, and I also, I mean, I love a rope because what would I do without it? But I think something simple as a really good carabiner in a fancy color, and you know, you can get the little rhino one, you can get a tiny one, you can get a big one, you can get a pointy one and a round one and a small one. I think that's a great piece of equipment, but I'm not a super gear freak. You know, I wouldn't be like go mad over a rope runner or, you know, like some of the guys do. And it may be because I haven't used it enough. But I think the small things, the everyday things are what makes it for me.
Nice, nice.
But I can tell you what I'm not so happy about at the moment, and that's my positioner because it's slipping on my flip line. And I've heard more people having this issue, and I don't know if I should do something or if it's just dead.
Okay. Yeah, we had a little beep here from the alarm that thinks that we should go home now. So, but hopefully that is gone by now. So I think we have another question as well.
Yeah.
So this is, you know, a typical question you get from being on a job interview, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what are the next 5 years look for you?
The next 5 years. Oh wow. I don't even know what tomorrow's gonna look like. Actually,
Bring out your crystal ball.
I won't spill too much because it's not written in stone yet, but I have some nice stuff coming up for next year, and for this fall I'm going to be really busy. We have a lot of work to do. A lot of people in the industry obviously know that the fall is usually the busiest. So we have a lot of jobs coming up, but I'm also going to be working more with steel coming up. I won't say any more, but it's going to be awesome, and it's going to be all over the place. So,
Nice.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that.
Yeah,
but 5 years, I don't know.
So, okay. At least we got, you know, what you're doing, you know, this fall and probably beginning of next year. So I guess somebody have to imagine what you're going to do for the next 4.5 after that.
I'm going to keep working, and then hopefully in not too far future, I can actually live with my boyfriend who's on the other side of the ocean. That would be nice because I finally found someone who's decent. And then it'd be nice to actually spend time together and work towards a future.
Nice.
Clock is ticking. My grandma had 2 kids when she was my age.
Yeah, well, they started early back then, didn't they?
I got 2 sheep and 2 goats and 2 cats and a dog.
Well, I guess you got your days over with a lot of work with that.
No, I'm going to be working and making a lot of money, and then I want to buy a farm, and then I want to start a treehouse village and an animal sanctuary, and I want to cut down trees and cut them into
there's the plan, you see.
And build them into houses. That's my plan.
Cool. So I think we have another question again.
Mm-hmm.
how do Sweden and Denmark compare? And that is a question for you.
Oh, really? Did someone in the audience ask this?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Sweden, back in the day, decided that tiles, no, not tiles. Yeah, tiles are really pretty, like stone houses, but they couldn't afford it, so they just had a communal decision on painting all their houses red. So in Sweden, you'll see little beautiful wooden red houses in the countryside. And Sweden has lakes, and Sweden has rocks, and Sweden has moose, and Sweden has, I want to say, they're quite liberal, but they're liberal in a different way. It's not the bad liberal, it's the good liberal. And they're ahead on a lot of green initiatives, and they're ahead on not eating animals. You know, like 15% of everybody is vegetarian, and it's huge. You know, there's so much space. Like Sweden is 10 times as big as Denmark, but there's only double the amount of people, so you can like do like this with your arms without hitting anyone. And Denmark is small, and I know every single place there. And I have an opinion about every single place, so it'd be hard for me to find somewhere to settle down there, because it's just not the same. Like the nature scene in Sweden, even though it's 20 minutes away, is just day and night, and it's hard to explain if you haven't seen it, but that's what makes a difference for me. Copenhagen is a great city, Denmark is lovely, and I love my country so much, but I'm really happy that Sweden is right next to it and I can live here.
Nice. That's a nice explanation from you. So do we have any additional questions from the audience here? No?
No?
No? Do you have any questions for us?
I don't think I have any questions.
No questions? No comments?
I liked our little talk here. It was fun. I've been looking forward to joining.
Yeah. Okay, everybody. This is my sense of humor, but we're gonna wrap it up here.
I think it was asking about arborist work in the winter.
So, exactly. How about arborist work in the wintertime?
I think when people hear Sweden, they think it's really cold and really dark, like all year round. But Sweden is also a very big country, and usually the darkness all year round is very far up north, where no one has ever been. Yeah. And our work in the winter, like even these 2 previous years, have been very mild. So it's not. I mean, it might get down to -10°C, but that's manageable, you know. And we do get work all year round. Like there's no like completely dead time.
So what is the furthest north you've been in Sweden?
I went
Stockholm?
to snowboarding last year, and I think we went a little further than that. I've also been to Sigtuna, which is north of Stockholm, almost Uppsala.
Yeah.
But on the other side, I went to, yeah.
But you haven't been above the polar circle.
No, but I want to go, and I might go this winter to see the northern lights.
Yeah, it's I tell you, it's cold up there.
Doug is asking if I want to work on Thursday. Where am I working?
Well, you know, I experienced -42°C up there, so it's pretty cold.
Yeah. I would really like to go. I like to go in the summer, but I know there's a lot of mosquitoes. But I want to go in the winter to see the northern lights, yeah, and the reindeer.
Yeah. Yeah, the reindeer. They're nice. They're pretty stupid though, but you know.
Yeah.
So Victoria, thank you very much for joining us. You know, this was the final episode of this season 1. So there's plenty more to come. We're gonna be take a couple of weeks break to recharge our batteries and plan the next lineup of guests and make some changes to the structure. So if you have any suggestions for guests or for improvements, feel free to reach out.
Yeah. Sure.
You can find most of our episodes on our IGTV or on our YouTube channel. So thank you again for those 20 episodes, everybody, either watching live or afterwards. It's been a pleasure having you on board. And we learned so much, and we will take that with us when we plan, the next lineup and the next session. So thanks, everybody. Have a very nice weekend. Thank you again, Victoria. Again, we'll wrap it up here. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.